it's Joan again. I hope you guys are enjoying all the extra family time that you are having together. It's pretty nice. I was thinking that when we play a game or do some kind of race, like we want to win, don't we? We want to do the best. And sometimes when we do win, we kind of maybe rub it in a little for other people. Well, Jesus shows us that there's a better way, his way, and that is to be humble and serve one another, give them what they need. So today's story is from, I got my Bible here, is from John chapter 13. And we start off, Jesus and his disciples are having the Passover feast. We talked about that the last time I was with you. Now remember, the Passover feast was something that God commanded the Jews celebrate every year so that they would remember some of the great things that God did for them. In particular, for this feast was when Pharaoh finally let them go from Egypt. So God wanted them to remember that. So he commanded this feast. So they are having this feast. And during the meal, it says here, having loved his own who were in the world, he, Jesus, now showed them the full extent of his love. And we know that Jesus' love is just unending. So as the meal was being served, it says, Jesus got up from the meal and took off his outer robe. I like to wear a robe around the house too to keep warm, but he took his robe off and he wrapped a large towel around his waist, and he got a large bowl. I got a big one here. I mean, he probably wasn't Tupperware, but okay. He got a large bowl and he started washing one of the disciples' feet. And then he dried it off with the towel that was wrapped around his waist. Now, this business of washing people's feet when they come in to your home back in this day, that was for the lowliest servant in the house, not Jesus. Jesus is the King of Kings, but he humbled himself to do what the disciples needed, and they needed their feet washed. So he was telling them that he's going to do this, and he comes to Peter, and Peter, knowing that Jesus is the king, says, no, you are never going to wash my feet. And Jesus says, well, unless I wash you have no part with me. And so Peter says, well then, okay, then not just my feet, but my hands and heads and all of me, which I thought was a pretty cool thing for Peter to say. So Jesus goes along washing the feet, humbling himself, and giving the disciples what they need. They needed their feet washed. And so this is what Jesus wants us to do. And we know that because right here in verse 15, Jesus says, I have set you an example that you should do as I have done. So we should be humble too. So it's not about, winning a race or beating somebody every time, even though we want to do our best. But it's Jesus's way is to humbly serve others, not think of ourselves as better. And if we do win, not rub it in, but serve each other and see what they need. So I got a couple questions for you. Maybe you could ask mom and dad, what do they need? How could you serve them? Even ask your sibling, if you dare, how can you serve them? And be humble, and I think that your heart will be happy when you can serve each other this way. Maybe you could wash each other's feet today. That would be kind of fun. Ask mom first. You could do it with wipes. That would be okay too. Or even practice if you have young children, they could wash the feet of their dolls or something like that. Okay, so let's see. I have a craft. I have a picture of a craft. And I think this is going to work if I hold this up. Yep. Let's see. Yep, there it is. Okay. So you could take your feet and dip them in paint or not. You could trace them. And you see how the heels are overlapped a little. And then what does that look like? Looks like a heart. Yeah, and it says serve one another through love. So that's something you could do at home. Again, I hope that you continue to enjoy your time with your family and love one another and serve each other in humility. All right, see you next time.